Yeah, fish on. Oh, mate, it's a big one. Get my net.
Tom and Sean met in primary school, becoming friends around the age 5 or 6. In their teens, they began fishing for a variety of species in their local commercial fisheries with the help of Sean's dad. But it was Tom's research on YouTube that finally convinced the pair that they should try and tackle the local population of predators in the network of canals that surround Birmingham. Join me now as they take us through some of the best bits of their YouTube channel, Snagged Bro. So welcome aboard, and thanks ever so much to Tom and Sean for spending time with us today and sitting down. Just for the international connoisseur that is obviously going to be watching us on here, could you just run us through the correct received pronunciation of your YouTube channel, please, Tom?
So our YouTube channel is called Snagged Bro. So basically, you know, all fishermen get snagged on whatever. Me and Sean fishing a lot of canals, we get snagged on. I think I've caught a vacuum, a bike. That's some of the weirder stuff. And
did that go well on light tackle? The bike, was that a?
It was interesting, to be honest. I remember I put it online and everyone was telling me that it was a really expensive bike, and they were asking me where it was. But yeah, so anyway, and me and Sean have been friends since days began, and Snagged Bro was the only appropriate name, really.
Fantastic. So, Sean, can you just, again, for the benefit of people that might not be familiar with the part of the world that you guys are in, whereabouts are you based, and what are your local waters and fisheries actually like?
We're actually based slap bang in the centre of England, really, in Birmingham. So, you know, coastal's kind of out of the question immediately. There's no coastal waters around. So we kind of tend to attack what we've got, which is a shed load of canals. There's, you know, the canal waterway is just really extensive through the Midlands, in the centre of England. So apart from canals, a few lakes, that's all we attack, really. We really go at the canals. I mean, Tom, a few years ago, wanted to try fishing in canals, and I just was not game. I was not confident that there was fish in there. We were just commercial fishermen. We were just putting floats in commercial fisheries because we thought that's all that was available to us. But Tom eventually dragged me down to a canal, and that really opened my eyes of what can actually be in the canals, no matter how dirty they are or where they are.
I think that's something I certainly took when I chatted to Luke Jennings, earlier on in this series, and when he's written quite a lot before about like when people, members of the public, when they see this kind of prehistoric, particularly pike, there's something terrifying about pike, inherently frightening things, and you show them this kind of like prehistoric dinosaur-looking thing with teeth, and it's like, it almost melts the brain that something like that is swimming around, that it's allowed to happen, that's actually a thing in the UK, and particularly in these urban canals as well, that little bit of like wild sort of craziness is, that's actually there. So and it is definitely something I pick up from your channel. The other thing I've picked up on is just how well you guys interact with the members of the public. And you do a real good job on your channel. Definitely give a shout out, and people should go and watch it and check it out. Just interacting with everybody that's walking around, just showing people what it's about, and a little bit, a bit of fish handling care and that kind of thing as well. And so, yeah, massive props to you guys for doing that. But how long would you say you'd been sort of fishing around the canals, and particularly around the Birmingham area then, Tom? Was that, is it relatively recent or...?
So we started fishing. So as Sean said, we were just fishing day ticket waters, commercial fisheries for carp mainly. And then I started going down rabbit holes on YouTube, and I saw one main channel, shout out to Black Country Piker. And he was really close to us, and he's catching all these pike from canals in GoPro first person. it just started from there, really. And then, so we've been, and it's literally, you don't know where the pike are. There is hundreds of miles of canal, and you've just got to go and try it all. That's it. And you've got to be like a secret investigator looking at, photos where they're from. You get to know the whole area. So we've been fishing for about 4 years. We've been doing this 3 years. We've been on the urban pike kind of campaign, haven't we, Sean? Would you say 3 or 4 years?
Yeah. 3 or 4 years. I'm saying we've been strongly predator fishing. And I suppose what got us into predator fishing was not being satisfied with all the commercials we were fishing, and we were trying our luck, wasn't we? I had a little bit of fishing gear, and that I'd acquired through my dad taking me when I was young. That's what started it off years and years ago. And then as me and Tom became like teenagers and started wanting to go and fish places, we were using my dad's fishing gear, and we just weren't satisfied, and we wanted more. We wanted more, and somebody introduced us to predator fishing, and that was just complete different kettle of fish, literally. Like you said, how frightening a pike can be. That I vividly remember the first time I watched a pike go for my lure, and it frightened me. It genuinely frightened me.
I think that's the thing. There's a particular thing with lure fishing where you're doing that legwork and you're covering ground, and obviously the fish with big pike in particular, or just predators in general, they'll have spells during the day where they're basically just chilling. They're just not doing anything. They're not going to feed, and then you get those 10-minute spells where they're on it, and so you've got quite a long period of this anticipation. And then when you see that big flash, when it snatches your lure, and suddenly out of nowhere, there's that like sudden violence, and it gets your adrenaline going. It's like it's like a primeval thing. I think anyway. I don't know if you guys get the same sort of sense when you're out there.
Completely agree. That adrenaline you get from a pike attack, it's almost second to none, really. That predatory feeling.
Yeah. It's almost like it's after you for that split second. You're not. It's
it's like a cycle. For me, I always feel like it's a primal instinct of hunting, really, and then for a moment they've got you, but then you've got them. So there's a whole different dynamic of pike fishing, searching, because sometimes you're disappointed. I've blanked for months, literally, and then you'll catch a big one, or you'll catch 3 in one session, and
So out of the episodes that you've got up online so far, are there any particularly memorable either captures or just incidents that for both of you that spring to mind?
I don't know. I think we've got quite a few. There's some real gems on there that just from myself and Tom's perspective are real memorable moments just for ourselves, not for that's without it being a YouTube community, what everyone else thinks. Just for me and Tom, there's a couple of moments that really stand out, and I think one of them, Tom, is when we fished in Wales on the big Traws-Finley Lake, and it was just epic, wasn't it? And it was rough weather, and we had to cross the water on the boat, and it was real touch and go whether we was going to survive.
It was we were going to survive.
I've actually fished it for trout probably about 20 years ago. Fished it a couple of times when I was on holiday in that part of the world, and it's a big old expanse of water.
Yeah, that water is no joke. It's no joke, especially on when the conditions are good for pike fishing. Being out on it is horrific. It really is, and you can't take your own boats. You have to have little terrible boats, really. They are, and you have to just hold on tight.
Good stuff. And what about you, Tom? So outside of Traws-Finley, what captured your sort of particular? Well, it doesn't have to be a red letter day. It could be something. And I do, just before you answer that, whilst you're thinking, one thing that slayed me was when you just turned to the camera and said, "There's like a barge taking like an absolute age doing a 3-point turn," and it's like, all right, well, given that this guy's annihilated this swim, then we better go and try somewhere else. And that just had me on the floor laughing. And so I'm basically laughing at your misfortune there. So take that as you will.
Well, do you know what? I think that's part of it. And as you mentioned earlier about the people that we see on the canal, we just want to give like a fair representation of what it is. And there is a lot of content creators that would be like, oh no, get them out of shot. We don't want them in. Or, it's nice in that chaos because it's unfolding a narrative where we don't even know where it's going to go or what they're going to say. And, we've met some really dodgy characters, and some of them we haven't even put into the videos because, do you remember that one guy who had a pigeon, Sean?
Yeah, he had a pigeon in his pocket.
He had a pigeon in his pocket and
obviously,
it was weird. So, memorable moments. They happen all the time in every bit of content we do. I love, fishing the rough areas and getting the real, that natural scum. Soz guys, but yeah, it's true.
I think one thing, as part of my work life, I work with the Welsh Trout Trust, and I do urban river restoration projects around urban trout streams. And there's an element that I recognise in urban canal fishing. It's quite an edgy sort of environment, and I think whether it's part of the graffiti and it's part of sometimes it can run through fairly socially deprived areas, and it's a little bit sort of. It has got that kind of urban edginess to it, and I like in your videos, you pick up some of the graffiti, some of the like single shoes that are abandoned, like what's the story behind that sort of thing. So I think that the fact that you can actually go and fish and have these kind of crazy predator adventures in that sort of environment, I love that because it's like it's places where nature shouldn't really be. So that's definitely something I get from your guys' channel. But again, I'm trying to get at the sorts of things that really get you amped and jazzed about your fishing, and whether they have sort of crossovers with some of the things I've taken from your channel potentially.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Well, is it the? Does it matter where your fishing takes place, or do you get special things from different? Is there a special part of your interest that is drawn to the urban environment, or is it just the fishing, no matter where it is?
I think there's definitely a pull for me and Tom towards the urban backdrop, the urban settings, simply because it's so amazing, like you say, that the Pike are even there. It is amazing that you're in Birmingham city centre, in a rundown area, in a sketchy canal, and there is monster, beautiful golden pike coming out of that canal. And the people that walk past when you've got them in the net and stuff, it reflects how amazing it actually is. And I'm so glad Tom convinced me to go and fish them canals all them couple of 3-4 years ago, because I was convinced there was nothing in there, but Tom was right.
And what you said earlier about there being like an edginess to it, there is almost like an intimidation to where we fish as well, where a lot of people would say, oh no, we're not going to that area to fish. Do you know how? And they are dodgy areas. They really are. It's some of the dodgiest places in Birmingham.
Well, that's one thing, going fishing down there, but like carrying camera gear and trying to set up shots where you walk past the camera and stuff like that. Is it going to be there?
When we first started, we were kind of really, let's put it away, or, we were scared a little bit. But we've kind of developed our way now. If we see a group of, lads that look like they're about to kill you, we just kind of turn the GoPro down, don't film them, and so they know that we're probably doing that.
Yeah.
And we've never had any trouble. And we've had gangs of people that have walked past us and come up to us and been in the content as well. And I think just because we're friendly and we're just doing our thing, you know, we don't get hassled. But as you say, with the intimidation and the edginess, the last fishing trip me and Sean went on, there was a guy right there on the next bridge in the swim doing hard drugs on the floor, just lying there, wasn't he, Sean?
Yeah, it was a bit uncomfortable, wasn't it, to be around? But
yeah, we've seen a few of drug taking situations that have been uncomfortable, but you know,
that's interesting, because I'm sort of the opinion, this is branching, you know, beyond just fishing, I guess, but the fact that an experience is uncomfortable doesn't necessarily mean it's not valuable. So I think the fact that you guys are getting recreational value and interesting footage and culturally sort of interesting stuff out of that environment, that's the reality of what happens in those places. So, you know, I think it has value even if it is a bit uncomfortable. I might even argue that perhaps because of that discomfort, there's a particular value to it. And I think, you know, without the fishing taking you to those places, that might not be something that, you know, would be within your ambit at all. So, yeah, it's uncomfortable, but at the same time, probably valuable, maybe. I think it is that thing of the richness of the different sort of variety of stuff that we've got within angling. And, you know, it's that stuff that actually gets us out of bed and takes us to those places that I think is one part of the magic of it. One thing I was curious about is that a central thing around fishing discovery is one of our sort of core philosophies is the idea of like cross-pollination. So by learning about many different styles of angling, even if you want to specialize in one, you always end up being better by understanding different approaches from within your own country style of fishing, but from around the world as well. And I just wondered if you guys had come across any, you know, sort of the snobbery or the kind of you know, people wanting to kind of pigeonhole their activities and just stay within, you know, one particular box, or whether Sean, for example, you get pressure from people to only produce a certain kind of video or a certain style of fishing.
I see where you're coming from. I mean, from mine and Tom's perspective, we don't feel in a kind of locked into predator fishing. You know, we've always got people. I know, for example, there's no carp fishing videos on our channel at the moment, but it's not something we're against. Fly fishing, we've never gone and done it, but it's definitely not something we're against. Sea angling. From our perspective, no, we want to go out and try it all, and I couldn't agree more in learning something else in and around our field, a type of field. You know, you gain knowledge from other types of, you know, fishing, you know, coarse fishing, sea fishing, fly fishing. It's all stuff we want to do. And I can't really say, to be honest, that we've come across too many tackle snobs, I suppose, if you like, where it's, no, I'm just here for this. It's more of a, that's kind of interesting. The community seems to be broadening out, especially predator boys, where people are starting to think, pike fishing on canals. Okay, right, put the carp rod down and go and get a cheap pike rod or something. That's definitely something a lot of our fans have done. I feel like we've converted quite a few carp fishermen, Tom. Not that's what we're out here trying to do. We're just out showing what we enjoy doing. But yeah, we've got a lot of people saying, I've been and bought this off the strength of your videos, and I've gone and give it a try, and it didn't work out this time. And it's always a constant, just keep casting, keep trying. Just because they're not there one day doesn't mean they're not there the next. You know, we're always getting people asking us for spots. And as much as we'd love to give them spots, doesn't mean they'll be any good, because they'll probably go there and blank anyway. Me and Tom have fished our best spots and blanked time and time again. It's just not a certainty. But yeah, we don't get too locked in to any type of field of fishing. It feels very broad. And no one's really too arrogant about that, I don't feel.
So what do you think? Sorry. I was just going to say, how do you feel where you're at with your channel now? Obviously, it's developing, it's growing. Getting more and more sort of fans subscribing. How do you feel where you are now? How do you think that might change over the coming months and maybe sort of further into the future? Do you have sort of a direction that you're going to go in, or are you sort of looking to just explore and kind of have that sort of chance sort of direction of things?
I think at the moment we're kind of laying down the foundations of our channel. Everyone can go and make a fishing channel and put GoPro a clip together of a pike going into a net and that. So we're trying to just add ourselves into that, our own personality, our own friendship. When me and Sean are fishing, it's like it's just us and the camera is another friend. We speak in our own language like all friends do. And so we want it to be entertaining always, as much as entertaining as possible with some fishing thrown in. So for the future, I want to go all over the world and make amazing TV series with Sean. That's what I want to do in the future, and I feel like we're laying down the foundation steps for that to happen until we've got an audience that is big enough to do that. So we're getting subscribers in all the time, and it feels good. But YouTube is a weird game. If you when you first start and you get 100 subscribers, I've got 100 subscribers, that's crazy. And then you hit your first 1,000 and you're like, oh wow, yeah, I can't believe that. And then you get ready for monetization. You're like, monetization, we're going to be rich now, Sean. We can put ads on our videos. And then you kind of a few thousand subscribers in and you're like, right. And then I think it's going to be that way forever. I think when we're at 100k subscribers, we'll be like, yeah, we're at 100k, so let's go for 1 million now then. It's always yeah, moving and changing, but that, I guess the drive is always there to just make entertaining content. That is the main goal.
I would say as well that both of your kind of personalities and the relationship that you've got, you've obviously known each other for years, because that personality comes through, and that's super engaging. And of course, that's one of the unique things that you've got, which is the way to differentiate yourself from other channels, because that is part of your relationship is another character in the stuff that you do. So that I really enjoy that, and I'd say definitely stick to that. It's working for you for sure.
Mm.
On the topic of stuff that you've already got, are there pieces or little secret? I mean, I've got some in my back of my mind. I really enjoyed the Xander sort of quest. I've got a bit of a quest of my own to go and get one of those and a lure at some point. But are there any sequences or little bits of clips that you'd particularly point viewers towards that you want to talk about on the interview?
Well, no, I've got because I guess it's a sore subject for me and Tom. Oh my God, I've lost my Zoom.
We can still see you.
We can still
see me, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Me and Tom have got kind of I guess it's an old wound of where we planned to go to Canada fishing. But it didn't quite work out. We went down the rabbit hole of finding people to go and stay with. We got in touch via Instagram with another pike fishing team that lived out in Philadelphia, and we was going to go on a massive trip up Canada. We organised it, we paid for the flights, and in the last minute, that team in America let us down. So a few days before we went to USA, me and Tom were looking at alternative things to do in Philadelphia. And it turns out, fishing-wise, it's not too great in Philadelphia. But we ended up booking the cheapest hotel we could find, which was in the ghetto in South Philadelphia. That was horrendous. And we just found a local lake and fished that for a week. And it was
I bet you got to know it. I bet you got to know it really well.
Really, really bad.
I feel for you.
So, but we caught our first bass from there, didn't we? We both did.
We did. That's what I was. We got a video where we each catch our first bass, and we've also got another video where I catch a pretty giant bass and a snakehead in one go, and it's chaos on camera, is what it is. You know, back then as well, we wasn't too hot on filming, and
we kind of didn't know how to make content, did we, Sean?
We had very little direction, or you know, if you go back and watch our very first video, which I think is Urban Pike 1, there's no narrative to it whatsoever. It's just footage pieced together as best as we could. And in that respect, where we are now, Snagged Bro has grown itself through me and Tom to what it is. It hasn't planned to be this way. It's what it's become because of that, because of those messed up trips to Philadelphia, you know, and all these dodgy trips to canals and going to fish in Wales. And we've got so many plans and places we want to fish for the future. You know, the goals are always moving. If we reach a goal, there'll be another goal. There always will be.
Fantastic. But again, I guess there are some sort of happy accidents in terms of you always get that tension that you're looking for in a narrative when things do go horribly wrong. You know, people do like watching other people's misfortune, which is, you know, sometimes you can find a bit of a, you know, a bit of a silver lining to some of those things. And, you know, props to, you know, actually going up to a place, seeing it on site and fishing it and catching species of fish you've never caught before. So, you know, there's adventure and there's story within that. Absolutely. But again, so thinking about, are we sort of going to be focusing within the predator realm? Is that sort of your immediate kind of interest, that overriding interest, or is that going to spread beyond that, do you think, Tom?
I think we'll fish for anything. But I think that me and Sean are excited about catching predators and definitely ones we've never caught before. That scares me because you know, when you get to touch it for the first time and you're like, oh, you know, you don't know where the spikes are, you know, you remember that first time where you picked a perch up, you know, from the dorsal fin and, you know,
and then the gill covers get you. You think you've mastered the spiky dorsal fin, and then you get slashed by the razor blade gill covers as well. So
yeah. So the idea of going to catch sharks and going to catch crazy predators, you know, catch marlin, you know, that's what I think me and Sean are going to do.
Nice. Well, I've got again, I am turning this into a terrible habit, but I have a mini challenge perhaps that we might be able to cross-pollinate a little bit.
Okay.
I've got this is a probably 80-year-old rig that my dad actually saved it for me from, it belonged to my granddad, but my dad never fished with it. So it's been kind of unfished with for 40 odd years. And as I say, it's probably about 80 years old. It's an American bait casting rig. So what the hell that was doing in Lancashire just before the Second World War is quite a story on its own. But I've got a bit of a bucket list of things that I want to go and sort of, you know, challenge myself. Now, at the moment, my first challenge is to catch a fish on it because I spent a while refurbing it and actually getting it back into some kind of working order. But with a bit of luck and a following wind, I'll be able to do that first step of it on some of my local waters. But I don't know if if you ever fancy a Snagged Bro episode where we do some Birmingham pike on the American baitcaster rig and see if it falls apart under the strain. I don't know, but I'd certainly be up for something like that. But
that's awesome.
So we'll definitely hook that up then. And the other thing that struck me was that I wondered whether you guys, you know, you'd seen any of the kind of top water like catfish sort of stuff on lures in France and places like that, because it's not a million miles away, and I think that could be some terrifying and exciting stuff as well.
Yeah, definitely. Catfish is something we want, isn't it, Sean? I mean, we've tried a few times, and I mean, what do you think?
I mean, well, I suppose it depends what kind of catfish you're talking about. I caught that little catfish in Philadelphia, but it was not. It was nothing to do with any like our catfish. It was a tiny little, powerful, but albeit different. The catfish over here elude us for some reason, Tom. Then again, we're only bottom fishing for them. Like what I was just saying then, I haven't really explored it, but I'm interested to. You say people are catching catfish off the top.
Just like Google like whopper plopper, or go on YouTube and stick in whopper plopper and silure, I think is the French word for it, silure. Terrifying stuff, you know. They're using belly boats and sort of like drifting down rivers, and then you know chaos and
they use like the jig flies for them as well, don't they? And it's crazy. I saw one of an albino one in the water, and it was mental. But catfish is something that we'd love to get in, you know.
Cool. So listen, just before I wrap it up for this one, again, I always like to issue like an open-ended invitation, because there's obviously fishing is so broad, there's things develop all the time. You know, you're more than welcome to come on and sort of talk about, you know, anything that you want in future.
Yeah.
But how can people get hold of you and contact you and sort of hook up and follow your stuff? Whereabouts are you available for people to look up?
I think definitely the best place to go and reach me and Tom, and we always get people messaging us on there, and we always reply, is Instagram, and my Instagram is at Sean _ Snagged Bro, and Tom's is at TSB _ Snagged Bro. I mean, if you go on to Google and search Snagged Bro, you're either going to come up with our Instagram or our YouTube, which is our two main platforms at the moment. We do hope to branch out further, social media-wise and platform-wise, really. I mean, giving a podcast a go is something that me and Tom have talked about, just to push out our personalities a bit more, because we are fishing YouTubers, but we're pushing our personalities as much as our fishing, because that's the winning formula at the moment is those two things together. So
yeah, I agree. I'll certainly go ahead, and wherever people are watching this or listening to this, I'll stick links to where people can contact you and follow you and do what they need to do on that. Particularly the blog will have all the resources, so I'll make sure I take care of that. Finally, with the lockdown situation at the moment, have you got a pipeline of stuff that is either partly shot or planned, or things that you jonesing to get out and actually complete in terms of the stuff that you're working on just now, Tom?
So, well, we've been... it's really difficult. That's the first thing, because unfortunately people want to see you catch crazy, amazing fish that is too good to be true, and that's how you'll do really well being a fishing YouTuber. We can't fish, so it's difficult, but we are releasing some content. We're releasing the content that everyone always asks for, but we always go, oh, no, we're not going to do that. Like, take us through your pike fishing setup. Oh, God, it's so boring. But that was our last video, so go and watch that one.
But people need to know this stuff. You know, you got to learn this stuff, and it is about bringing people along. So I think, it's totally valuable. Yeah,
so we are continuing to make content. Like, I've got 2 memory cards here with a whole fresh episode on. So we are continuing to make content, but yeah, we're gonna when this is on, we're gonna go and fish hard and get on it. We've been talking about just doing some float fishing sessions, maybe even just some pleasure fishing sessions, just for me and Sean to chill out in the sun and take it back to where it all began, you know.
Nice.
Yeah,
well, sorry.
I was just going to reiterate on what Tom just said. Get back to that feeling of fishing again, because with all this lockdown, it's just feels gone. And I know we're filming that little bit of content in the shed and what people want to see here and there, but we're really dying to get out fishing. We are.
Yeah, I think everyone can relate to that, certainly, because cabin fever is getting pretty bad just now for the anglers that are under lockdown. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to what you guys do come up with. And as I say, I'd love to get out and just hoon around and have a laugh with some of that old gear and see what we could do as well. So who knows? Maybe we'll see a Fishing Discovery Snagged Bro co-production at some point in the future.
Awesome.
Listen, guys, thank you ever so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. As I said before, I'll reiterate it again. This won't be the last time that we do this, so we'll revisit you when you hit your 100,000 or whatever it is, the next milestone, the next story. Mm-hmm. And thanks for just sharing some of your experiences. I'm sure that people will check out some of the wonderful clips and the pieces of film that you've created already. As I say, I'm really looking forward to what you come up with in the future as well. But for now, thank you very much, and we'll speak soon. Take care.
Thank you very much, Paul. Cheers. Bye, guys.
Don't know why I did one of them. Maybe I'll do one of that sort. Maybe I'll do both. Imagine that. See you later.